from Group B. And let's talk about picks and bans.
Yeah, we have to, because already early on in the day, we've seen some shifts coming in from red side bans, leaving a couple of the power picks open, which for Splice didn't necessarily go as well as they would have liked. But when we look at Fnatic and Vitality, are they going to change things up? Are they going to leave some of these more broken champions through to see how Fnatic can adapt?
So far, the answer seems to be no.
So far.
Rengar Camille left up.
But no Zyra Malz ban from blue side, which is something that we have seen fairly commonly. So I wonder whether or not Fnatic are looking for a very early jungle rotation right now.
Okay, jungle rotation, possibility. I mean, Kha'Zix is still up. Multiple support champions, so you don't need to prioritize that as early. And no real deviation from the status quo here for Vitality LeBlanc. Instead, it's going to be the Varus first pick. Kha'Zix is an option here for Djoko. Hasn't been his strongest performing champion, though.
As of yet, no. And I want to see, we heard from Djoko a while back that he was struggling to adapt to the meta. I feel that we're at a point now where he should be feeling a little bit more confident. And when we look at Cabochard, picking up this early Shen is definitely something that we've seen a lot more recently in the meta. The Shen-Kha'Zix combo is incredibly potent. You're already setting yourself up for a powerful 1-4 or 1-3-1 composition. You have early jungle presence. Now the question is for Fnatic, do you want to match the jungle top? Maybe you want to get an early rumble. Maybe you want to get something that's good into the Shen. Or perhaps you prioritize on some of the other power picks. Zyra is still left available. Interesting that we actually have been seeing a rise in Lee Sin, especially earlier on in the day where Cacao brought it out, and he actually made it work to incredible effect.
All right, what do you think of Brox's Lee Sin? Amazing tried to play that earlier in the split. It didn't necessarily work out in the hands of the newly promoted Challenger player.
But Broxer is somewhat famous for it, because during the Challenger Series qualifiers, he only played Lee Sin. During the playoffs, he actually had it banned away in every single game. And coming into his first week of Challenger, it was still banned away from him. This man has earned the respect from a number of high elo players that it is worth banning away, but now he's got his hands on it.
And of course, it's a different setting, right? That is Challenger qualifiers. That's playing from a relatively comfortable position. Now Broxer has to do it from the stage, in front of a sold-out crowd here in Berlin against Vitality. All right, Misfortune locked in for Jesiz. That's sort of the counter to the other two powerful picks already, making sure it's not getting banned out. What do you think of that?
I think it's questionable simply because it's mainly used as a counter pick rather than as a champion that you would blind pick, because Misfortune isn't necessarily the strongest support in that she doesn't provide the best utility. She can't really provide very much peel for a Varus. So bit of a risky pick, I think, coming out from Jesiz. Definitely enables you to be aggressive. You'll definitely have the push in the bottom lane, but it is a big indicator that they're saying, look, Vitality, you're going to have to find something else. And perhaps they're just trying to challenge Nukeduck. We're going to force you onto a difficult matchup.
That is an exceptionally good point. Nukeduck, of course, anticipated to play the support role in his first professional match in the LCS in support. Tom Kench is taken away. What will he play? The thing is, Nukeduck's solo queue has been Zyra, has been Malzahar. These are mages that he has played.
And the Tom Kench is being banned
well.
away. He is really being pinched right now. Fnatic are punishing the weakness for Vitality. And we have to wonder what he's going to go for. You could look to early rotate your support, but you know that Fnatic have already locked their support in, so you should have enough time. That means that looking at mid laners that are available, Corki could be an early priority for Vitality. You could also go for something safe like an Orianna.
Or something super safe for GBM, like a Victor.
Something that he played a lot of over in the NALCS.
All right, well, Corki's been banned, so one of those safe options has been removed. This mid lane pool's really taking a beating.
I think this is a fantastic draft from Fnatic because you can see how very easily they've been able to shut down Nukeduck's champion pool. We've already talked about it. We just looked at his solo queue records, and so far he's now either going to be put into a losing matchup or he's going to be playing something that he's not necessarily comfortable on.
All right, well, let's be fair. Not comfortable support. We need to see. We don't know, right? We don't know Nukeduck's aptitude. We don't know how well he's going to take to the position. What we do know is that Gank by Mom, formerly now known GBM, has locked in that Cassiopeia. There is a counter pick potential here for Fnatic. So, I mean, last pick support, both solo laners revealed, and it's Gangplank for sOAZ. Definitely an old school special, one where sOAZ showed phenomenal.
Whoa. Is this a Varus mid? Definitely going old school. We have not seen a Varus mid in an incredibly long time, but when you think about the changes to lethality, it does make sense. Poke Varus is incredibly strong right now. really works nicely come the mid game, and you can make it work. He provides wave clear, he synergizes nicely. That means that this Misfortune is going to be on the AD carry position. Really nice mind games from Fnatic, going for that effectively triple, double, lots of flexing.
Lots of flexing indeed, and that means GBM's going to have a bad time in this middle lane. Constantly at range. And Fnatic, well, there's no front line here at all, but they've got tons of damage to draw from. Looking at the two compositions side by side, who do you like, Vedius?
Well, I think that Fnatic have a good teamfight comp, and they have a very good siege comp, because the Gangplank makes his presence known. I'm looking at it right now, and I think the big problem that they have is that they have a good 1-4, but their 1-3-1 is very weak. And you can send Cassie off into a side lane, and when you put her against an AD carry, I think that the AD carry will struggle. So Vitality have room, they have options. It's very dependent on getting a good early game though, because to set up a successful 1-3-1, you cannot allow the enemy 4-man unit to be strong enough to just group up, push mid, and keep going without any resistance.
A good early game. That's not something that Vitality have been particularly proficient at. Luckily for them, Fnatic on the other hand have not either. That is Broxah, the man on your screen, replacing Amazing in his debut performance for the LCS main squad. GBM going to be playing Cassiopeia this time round. And of course, Nukeduck Malzahar. We can finally confirm officially he's playing support, Vedius.
Yes, we can, and he's going to be playing a mid laner in support.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Fnatic versus Vitality. This is a very important matchup for both of these squads, who are struggling in the middle and lower ends of the respective tables. All right, I want to take a look at these duo lanes, because it's Rekkles that pulled a little bit of a fast one on us with that Varus MF switcheroo.
Now, there's been a lot of debate about Misfortune, how strong she currently is in the meta, and we have to realize that she's come back thanks to the changes to lethality. It's a talking point that's been going around the professional scene for quite a while, but her real strength comes from team fighting. Because of her ability to go for the Black Cleaver, to stack all that armor penetration, we might have to hold off for a second, because I'm just looking at Nukeduck and I'm like, how much does he know about bottom lane? Because there is a 4-man stack from Fnatic right now.
That's a question we're going to answer in the next 20 minutes. How well does Nukeduck and Steelback trade? Now, last week and the weeks leading up to this, Steelback and Hichani did not have the best synergy. They didn't seem to be necessarily on the same page. It's only been at max like a week of scrimming. And there's a lot of nuance to this role and the power trading in the role.
The advantage to playing Malzahar is it's very all-in.
Yeah.
In terms of mechanics, you wonder how prevalent it's going to be, but looking at some of the Keystone Masteries, for those interested, the Misfortune is actually going for the Deathfire Grasp. The great thing about Deathfire Grasp is it scales very well with AD, which Misfortune will be building a lot of, and it also scales very nicely with your ultimate. Usually when you trade, you're going to be relying on your Q procs, so it's just great harassment, very similar into the style of Jhin. Right? Ultimate Q are a large reason as to why you go for the Deathfire.
Oh, a lot of damage then to come down from everyone on Fnatic. We talked a lot about sort of every other lane, except sOAZ and Cabochard. I mean, GP into Shen. GP was, I don't want to use the word counter, but it was one of the picks picked into Shen that we saw quite a lot.
Often it's used because Gangplank has a fairly weak laning phase, but his big spike comes once he hits that Trinity Force mark. So around the 15-minute mark, he wants to just sit there and farm in the meantime, and Shen is not a champion that can punish the Gangplank. He is not really a champion that can do much to prevent him from farming, and that's why you often see him being picked into it. The oranges also help against this.
It's going to help against a lot of the single target CC here for Vitality. Catching a glimpse of Cabo, at least in the early levels. Pushing sOAZ in, no powder cakes available. A little bit of make it rain damage being dropped down. So Nukeduck playing some respect here to the damage potential of Rekkles and Jesiz. No real early advantages just yet, except Vitality's being pushed in on the bottom, while Fnatic's being pushed in on the top.
So far, this is very much what you'd expect. Fnatic's bottom lane is very good at pushing. The bigger problem is that when you compare the wave clear from Misfortune to Jhin, it is Misfortune that typically has the advantage. And when you have the consistent harassment coming out from Jesiz, it forces both of the bottom laners of Vitality back underneath their turret. So they're always going to be playing on the back end.
Yeah, a lot of damage to come down. Jesiz is playing very aggressively forward. So is Nukeduck, actually. Malefic Visions, as well as that Swarm being summoned. But at the end of the day, it's Nukeduck that eats way more of that damage. Rekkles on those plants, chewing through his HP bar.
And this is actually one of the things that I was curious about with regards to Nukeduck, because yes, you're a challenger player. He's going to have played support at some point, right? It's something that, as all top players do, they should be able to play in every role to a decent landed.
Autofill's a thing, man. Everyone's played support.
Yeah, exactly, right? But the experience is what enables these players to be professional. And I feel as though, how much does Nukeduck know about bottom lane training? How much does he know about wave control? And so far, we're seeing that he's getting very heavily punished for very, very small mistakes.
Yeah, and of course it is the matchup is going to play into his favor. I want to expand on some of that experience discussion because Broxah and Djoko now going toe-to-toe. Take a closer look at Broxah and his stats. He showed up last week in the 2-0 victory over PSG, but comparing his jungle proximity to the EU LCS average, spent less time around his team last week, around the same gold at 15, around the same average at kills plus assists, and playing this early game jungler, I want to see what impact he can have. Oh, a lot of damage. Nukeduck and Jesiz, look at that swarm. Not going to be able to kill Jesiz this time around, but they got the exhaust.
Bit of a pest control problem in the bottom lane for Fnatic. As Steelback actually incredibly low on mana. They need to be careful about trading.
Yeah, a lot of damage from Make It Rain. Root onto Nukeduck. Takes a couple of shots in the Thunderlords, but not in range of being killed just yet. But again, being pushed out of lane, plus 10 CS for Rekkles, and the wave is going to crash against the tower for Vitality shortly.
So unfortunately, a pretty big CS deficit right now for Steelback. While it was expected that this matchup would be pretty difficult, not only is Misfortune naturally good into Malzahar as a support, but she can then effectively use her Make It Rain to pop the passive on Malzahar, and then Zyra is free to go and harass. And that's just making things even worse, because having Nukeduck go back at an improper time or an invaluable time is just making Steelback slightly harder.
I'm going to go back to that picks and ban strategy. You know, Nukeduck, new to the role, new to the experience. It's duo. It's not just one person's play, it's two people's. And with this very frustrating lane of Misfortune and Zyra, you're already putting Nukeduck in an uncomfortable position.
You certainly are. And what it sets up nicely for is Fnatic to look for an early dive in the bottom lane. One thing that I didn't mention earlier about the GP versus Shen is that GP is actually also very good at matching his global pressure. The ultimate is a great way to respond if Shen decides to TP to another lane, and his ultimate acts as effective wave clear if he wants to try and group up with his team. So if they want to set up a dive on the bottom, now that sOAZ is level 6, and that the bottom lane is already taking a lot of harass, could be a great way for them to do that.
All right, Vitality seems to want to set something up first, though. Hey, Djoko gets rooted down. He needs to flash. Actually, that was even a tad early. I didn't realize quite how fast Steelback was outside of that lane.
Some praise for Broxah as well. Pathing bottom lane when his jungle camps weren't even up to try and get ahead of the curve, react to the play that Djoko was likely going to make. And they're able to dissuade the gank and get the flash out of Djoko.
Vedius, we're 6.5 minutes into the game, and you've not talked about mid lane. Are you all right, man?
Because it's a farm lane, my friend. It is a farm lane. Varus is very similar to Corki in what he does, in the sense that it's just push farm, push farm, push farm. He's not quite as safe, but because he's now got his ultimate available, and he also has the dual summoners of Ghost and Flash, he's a little difficult to gank.
Yeah,
so
difficult to gank indeed. Who do you prefer as a mid laner as these two team comps continue to scale? Because it feels like the Varus and the Cassio are going to offer very, very different things to the respective teams.
What Varus offers is very much poke and siege. So when you're playing around these objectives, he's going to be doing similar things to that. Charging up his Q, landing the damage, and forcing people low enough so that when sOAZ joins the fight, the enemy team will be so low that they're either forced to retreat or they're going to die. That's typically how you play with these siege-style plays of comp. Meanwhile, the Cassio has so much more value in team fights because you have a lot of zone control with the miasma. You have a lot of single target damage, which means that if one of these squishies gets hit by that miasma, they have a very long time before they're going to have the freedom to flash away.
Yeah, And a lot of damage then from the rest of Vitality squad with Nukeduck's Nethergrasp, Djoko on that Kha'Zix. All right, blue buffs have been donated to Caps and to GBM. There was a cull picked up by sOAZ and his Gangplank. Generally, Signal's going to be fairly committed to this scaling, farming style of play. And if Fnatic want to go for the passive style, maybe then play for a mid to late game macro style. Again, Vitality have replaced effectively 2 people, even though Nukeduck is still on the roster. Clearing out vision, Vitality going to spot out Caps, and the tower's under pressure.
This is the bot lane play that we were discussing earlier on, where Fnatic, they already have the pushing links, but Vitality want to respond.
All right, GBM's the first one to respond. Curtain call, tags Jesiz. GBM was ghosting all the way down. Caps already in lane. Because it was Caps that started the play. GBA was second to respond.
Important to note that Cabo already used his teleport to get back into lane earlier. sOAZ did TP to join the fray, decided to cancel it once he realized that his teammates were out to safety. But overall, it's still a net game for Fnatic because Vitality aren't able to force the engage. The bottom lane of Fnatic still has push priority, so they're able to move up and take down that first tower gold.
Yeah, first tower gold. Rekkles has got over 30 CS advantage. That's over 1,200 gold in the lead. Djoko, you've been caught out, son. Really wanted to get the Raptor camp. No flash available. Gets interrupted with the kick. First blood to Caps.
Great start for Fnatic, punishing the overextension from Djoko, and what a misplay. There is no need for you to be that aggressive when your bottom lane is so far pushed back. You do not have the Shen ultimate, and you are rightly punished for that overextension.
Yeah, gets taken down. Caps on this Varus, managing to secure the first blood. So that's a good start for Fnatic. They got the first tower, they've got the first blood, and this all just stems from really good map play.
I don't understand why Djoko's there. Like, what's even more confusing is the fact that he moves into the enemy jungle. Like, you're not getting out of that when you know that the Raptors are going to follow you. Really good kick from Broxah.
Chuck Norris would be proud.
He'd be pleased, he'd be pleased.
All right, I'll take the chuckles, I'll take the chuckles. Not everyone was in on it, but I'll take it.
But the important thing to bear in mind is that GBM had push priority mid, so it should have been really easy for Djoko to just walk backwards.
Yeah.
Even if they collapsed onto him, the miasma goes down, GBM goes, no. And then he's free to walk away, but instead he goes into the enemy jungle, ends up dying.
Yeah, gives away a kill that really was not needed. Fnatic take away. Keep your eyes on the minimap. Vision is being pressed deeper into the Vitality's eastern quadrant, and Rekkles and Jesiz were pushing up, but as they reach sort of edges of that vision, instantly back away. So pretty good, clever play, and with Mountain Drake being available and some vision, this looks like it'll be a safe objective.
Now, typically what you would see is when the bottom lane takes that first tower, they actually rotate to the top side of the map because it forces the enemy bot lane to respond, because there's no way that a Shen will be able to deal with the Misfortune Zyra knocking on that tower. It's just going to drop almost instantly. So you have to send your bottom lane to match it, which then puts them further behind. You end up in the same situation that you were in earlier on in the laning phase anyway. So it makes sense. The reason why Fnatic didn't do it and why they pushed another lane bottom is because they had already set up good vision in the bottom half of Vitality jungle, and they wanted to put priority on that Mountain Drake. So picking that one up early enables them now to rotate up to the top side and put pressure on that tower.
Thank you, observers, for highlighting the vision that enabled all of the plays Vedius just ran down. And Vedius, with Fnatic getting first tower and first dragon, and rotating, and knowing where Vitality are, now Fnatic just take another tower. I mean, Fnatic have got another tower, and Vitality are completely lost. They're pushing for outer bottom, while Fnatic are pushing for inner in the top lane.
The thing is, if you're Vitality, you should have read this play happening. Yes, you can trade tower for tower, but Fnatic, they had already started getting work done, and you have the Gangplank ultimate to completely dissuade it. They're not going to take any turret damage, and Cabo can do nothing to stop this play.
Okay, can Vitality get a kill in the middle lane? Nukeduck may have just walked over a ward. Stranglethorns comes down. Honestly, just for pressure here. That was a zoning ultimate. That's the term I'm going to use. Caps left the mid lane. And in the time it's taken Fnatic to just knock over 2, Steelback is still reloading that 4-shooter and doesn't even get the bottom tower.
Vitality are falling apart right now because Fnatic are just making them look like amateurs. The fact that these are very standard plays that should be expected. You have windows of opportunity to try and make plays back and don't take advantage of it, but maybe they'll try something different now.
Flash, Nethergrass, Miasma. Caps is going to get locked down as well, and very, very easy.
Wait.
There goes sOAZ.
1-for-1 trade in the middle lane. sOAZ there to clean things up. Fantastic turnaround from both teams to get themselves one kill each.
That just felt like a little bit of a desperation play. I'll expand on that in a moment or two. Broxa, where's the Sonic Wave? Looking for GBM. There's no petrifying gaze. GBM's gonna get kicked down. And now Djoko may donate another. The curtain is called onto sOAZ, and Broxa tanks up a few shots for his brothers in arms. And Fnatic sieging the mid tower.
Fnatic make the movement to mid. GBM had just used his summoner spells to get that kill onto Caps already. And Fnatic already in a prime position to punish, get themselves a kill onto GBM, and are now knocking on the door of this tier 1 in the mid.
Oh, this is the 4th tower in favor of Fnatic. Will fall in just a moment or two. Cabochard fancies his chances here. Eats a powder keg before he's zoned away, but with 2 Ghost Blades and a Trinity Force, the Fnatic team composition has its mid-game power spike enabled.
They certainly do. Trinity Force has been picked up. You also have the double Ghost Blade on both Caps and Rekkles.
I know, I just said that, Vedius. Jump into the replay.
And it's a super important item spike that Vitality want to try and punish them for, but a really good ultimate from Caps is enough to enable a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane. And as we had already talked about, you have the rotation towards mid. The priority is taking down that mid tier 1. And this enables them to get that 4th tower of the game.
Do you know, it's just really impressive performance from Fnatic. It's good shot calling, and it's straight up like win lane, win game. Because all of the snowballs and all of the decisions have come from Fnatic's 15-minute play around pushing bottom lane, roaming to take the tower, swapping top lane, and then punishing mistakes where Vitality have provided them. I mean, it's a 7,000 gold lead.
The thing is, this is standard League of Legends in professional play right now. This is what you would expect Fnatic to do, and Vitality should have answers for it. They do have answers for it. You have the Shen ultimate. We saw Djoko try to go for an early gank just a little bit too late. Broxa got himself the counter gank, and Vitality just let it all happen. They didn't even try to punish. You have to praise Fnatic for their fantastic drafting, but you also have to look at Vitality and question, what were they even trying to do in the early game?
Yeah, what were they trying to do? Vedius, I have an inkling that Fnatic's gold lead here is probably the 2nd highest gold lead we've seen this split at 15 minutes. Yesterday, Unicorn set it against Giants. I reckon it's like 100 to 200 gold less. I'm going to wait for the stats. Yeah, stats team is confirmed. It is the 2nd highest. Only behind UOL yesterday, and it's just this dominant, beautiful performance, and how different they can be.
It certainly is. Very beautiful performance from Fnatic, and it's really important for this team composition as a whole to get ahead, especially against this comp, because of how difficult it now becomes for Vitality to find leg rooms back into the game, because every time you try to force an engagement, you're going to get poked out by the Misfortune, by the Zyra, by the Varus. And every time you try to force a fight, sOAZ is just going to join the fray and absolutely decimate you. He's already got his Trinity Force done.
Just imagine if this were your game and you needed to get through bullet time. Yeah, okay, well, if everything misses, all right, GBM is going to get the stand united. He's taking Fnatic for a walk down the lane. GBM gets shut down. Now, finally some skill shots connect, but that's all Fnatic needed, because now they're on the inner turret in the bottom. Like, it's 17 minutes into the game.
To be fair, GBM's dancing has certainly improved during his time off. His sidestepping ability was fantastic, but unfortunately he got zoned away from his turret, and Fnatic were able to get themselves a collapse.
And he's dancing without even any shoes. Yeah, that was lame. That was lame.
I'm like, I don't know where you want to go with that, QuickShot.
Well, Vedius, I tell you where Fnatic will go with the 2nd Mountain Drake. Anywhere they want. They've got a siege composition that has got a monumental lead. Vitality don't have answers to the poke that Fnatic can put down, and I don't feel they can punish the engage. They can punish Fnatic with an engage, because there's just so much disengage power. It's just tough for Vitality. First game on stage for GBM, first game support for Nukeduck, and neither of these guys have had a chance to demonstrate their ability because Fnatic have just played the map so much better.
I feel like they have, and we have to look back at the drafting. Really impressive from Fnatic, but it's also the limitations that you have as coming on as a brand new support. You don't have the wealth of experience to just dip into your pool of let's play whatever we want. And Fnatic just really intelligent with how they punish this, how they pigeonhole Nukeduck into a champion that they can very easily abuse, and they use their wealth of experience and knowledge in the bottom lane to take advantage of that.
Now let's actually step back a little and maybe stop praising Fnatic for this game and talk about Fnatic as an organization. You know, 2 wins, 2 losses so far within their group. This is the first matchup when Fnatic take on Group B. They made a decision to replace Amazing. You know, one of the most veteran players, one of the guys who's been around a long time. It's a fresh blood, fresh name, fresh player to the team because it was a squad that was struggling. They didn't really have a clear identity. They didn't really show up the way you expect the Fnatic squad to show up.
There was certainly a lot of expectations coming into the split with how hyped they were, how invigorated a lot of the players had been on social media, and how they had a lot of expectations for these teams, and how hyped Caps was. Mr. Baby Faker over here coming around thinking that he's some hot stuff, and then they kind of underperformed. They really did get caught unawares. A large part of that, I think, was due to Amazing, but we also have to look at the team as a whole. We heard it earlier on the analyst desk where scrim practice wasn't perfect, the environment within the team wasn't ideal, and this change, so far, perhaps isn't the best representation to see how big of a difference it has made, because they have definitely used their intelligence to outdraft their opponents.
Nukeduck gets nuked! Djoko jumps onto Rekkles, defensive flash away. Now 2 members of Vitality caught behind enemy lines. Rekkles survives just long enough, but here comes GBM, the Ghost and Flash with the Twin Fangs. Broxah's looking to kick down the snake. He turns away from the petrifying gaze. Broxah is a monster. sOAZ should get the kill with the parlay, and Vitality lose 3.
Fnatic get themselves a fantastic fight, and Broxah, we were just saying this may not be the game for you to show up, but my god, what an outplay. Beautiful Lee Sin mechanics, and Fnatic coming out with the win. So we can see they get themselves the mid tower. Nukeduck tries to get the collapse down, but he's the one that gets collapsed on. Then Vitality trying to utilize this Shen Kha'Zix combo to get in with a flank, but they're only 2 members versus 4, and you're now going to see the outplay coming out from Broxah. He expects the petrifying gaze to come in, turns around. We don't get to see the end of the play because sOAZ did something.
sOAZ was almost caught out in the jungle, but he ate an orange and it was K. He managed to escape.
That was a good one.
I sincerely hope we get a LoL eSports gif of that Broxah outplay, his debut performance, and look, no hesitation. Now, it helps when you're playing 10,000 gold ahead.
It helps,
right? Keep that in mind. But so much kudos, because he's hit every ability he's needed to.
He had to make a play on his debut, right? We were wondering, is he going to choke? Maybe he's going to be scared, maybe a little bit too reserved. No, he just came out the gate swinging, and so far he's doing a great job.
Fnatic could make a t-shirt of that. Broxah is a monster. You know, spelled A-H at the end.
Broxah, he is a monster.
See, exactly. Be cool and hip and
What's
stuff.
that coming over the hill? Is it a Broxah? Is it a Broxah?
We're going to find out. Broxah setting up with the rest of Fnatic to siege. Fnatic did not fall into the Baron bait. Extremely happy team backstage.
Ooh.
And Steelback is forced away. Cannon Barrage will buy some time. And look at this Fnatic. They don't need to risk a 50-50 Baron.
No, they do not. Certainly something that we saw earlier on in the day, but Fnatic can just knock on the doors of Vitality's base 22 minutes into the game, and now they're going on to GBM.
Hourglass will save GBM's life for now. Root comes down, sOAZ eats an orange, but he's going to survive for a few seconds longer. Rekkles gets tagged by the Nethergrass. There's no support and no damage from Vitality, so Rekkles just walks away.
Even after all of the harassment that sOAZ has taken, Fnatic have said, nah, he's fine. They continue their siege. They're looking for an inhibitor, but they are yet to take one.
No, they are. Djoko's trying to set up another flank. It has not worked at all this game for Vitality. Back to the drawing board. 12,000 gold down. 2 dragons, an open base. I mean, there's no metric left for Fnatic to be ahead in. And it's just a good performance. Double lethality itemization for Caps and Rekkles. I mean, even a Haunting Guise, almost Leandries for Jesiz. So, like, this game should be over soon. And Fnatic have looked exceptional. Vitality need to figure out how to change. What, you know, where do they bounce back?
The only way in which Fnatic can lose this game is if something were to happen to their keyboards and all of them exploded simultaneously, because Fnatic have demonstrated such solid control throughout that it would be unthinkable for them to give things away. And as you rightly said, Vitality need to start thinking about moving forward, because this game, they were put on red side. If they get blue side, if they choose to select blue side in game 2, they'll have a little bit more freedom. But then, if you're Fnatic, you could even look into see how you can punish the drafting of Vitality again. But we do not have time for that, as we see an ultimate in the mid. sOAZ just asserting his dominance.
Yeah, it's about sending a message. There always needs to be one of those lines in a week, I feel.
Yep.
But yeah, Fnatic definitely asserting their dominance on the Rift. Only giving up the 2 kills for Caps and Rekkles, and I'm going to push through.
If lane swaps still existed, they'd be fine, because they could just avoid the 2v2 entirely. But now you're being forced into this 2 versus 2. It's a great window for Fnatic to punish, and time and time again, we've just seen them abuse it.
So fun seeing Gangplank pick up an entire wave like that. Fnatic have yet to concede a tower. That is how dominant this victory has been. If Vitality didn't get 2 kills, do you know that would have been a perfect game, Vedius?
It would have been nearly a perfect game, I would say.
It would have been. Nukeduck wants to go ham on Rekkles, brings in a lot of support.
That was for laning phase.
There we go. All right, so that was a flash from Nukeduck, and it's going to allow Fnatic to put pressure elsewhere on the map. The question is, what does it gain? Vitality have bought some time. They've got no towers to be under pressure, and Fnatic, there's nothing to take for them. They weren't pushed up in any of the lanes.
And now GBM may very well be overextended himself. He is level 14, so there's the possibility of the outplay. But it looks like the Fnatic don't want to try and commit to it right now, as I say that.
All right, Cannon Barrage comes up. Miasma's going to buy some time. Flash forward onto Caps. Caps is going to get a shield, and GBM uses the Hourglass. Spirit's Refuge blocks some time. Brox is taking a lot of damage, but the tower's helping out. sOAZ comes in for the assist, gets the kill, and now Vitality are running for their lives. Nukeduck wishes he had a flash available to him. Exhaust will buy a few seconds, dash away from Cabo, but he still eats some vines. The weeds lock him down. Still more support. sOAZ didn't use TP. The Gangplank coming in from behind. Cannon Barrage is already used. Gonna be farming up the minions with the powder kicks. Djoko's looking for the bounce, not gonna get it yet. Steelback throws out a grenade, and it's messy. It's a double kill for Jesiz. Curtain call comes out, but there's enough HP bars, and Vitality lose 4.
Fnatic now can just meander on over to the Baron. They do have some fairly low health members, but with fairly long death timers on the side of Vitality, they could look to go for it. Looking at Nukeduck though, he is making his way back towards this Baron, and I wonder how fast they'll be able to take it.
Very fast.
Very fast indeed.
Baron is being melted. Vitality can't get anywhere near. Whoop, no, smited down. Ooh, Rockstar secures it. 1-0-8. His Lee Sin was not needed in the laning phase, but in team fights like this, putting on a pretty good performance.
I actually want to praise his patience here, because he could kick before the Shen arrives, but he actually waits just till after, kicks GBM underneath the turret so that Shen will not be directly near, and they're able to shut down GBM initially. Then they just use their numbers advantage to slowly chase after the lineup of Vitality, and it's just the advantage that you have of being 10, 11,000 gold up this late into the game. Fnatic don't really have anything to worry about. sOAZ gets the flanking TP to cut off the escaping members. Djoko is actually able to get into the brush unseen. Fnatic don't realize that he's there. They just completely walk past him. This allows Djoko to come in from behind and shut down Caps. But unfortunately for them, once they commit, they realize, oh no, we're 10,000 gold down.
Yep.
And then they die.
Around 15,000 now, with Baron picked up by Fnatic, and a very good zone from sOAZ. First inhibitor of the game drops. Fnatic now going to turn their attention to the bottom lane, it looks like, but the wave nowhere to be found. If you look at the minimap, it is crashing with the Fnatic tower shortly.
And even though there's a big minion wave in the bottom lane, as long as Fnatic can take this inhibitor, that's just going to push right on back out.
All right, here comes Djoko once again with the attempt. Rekkles locked down by the Nethergrass, taunted as well. Stranglethorns will buy some time. The Malefic Visions will kill Rekkles. They've traded a mid laner for an ADC, but look at the damage from that piercing arrow. Nukeduck is forced away, and Fnatic take the inhibitor. Yes, it's a 1-for-1, but the base is in shambles, and Fnatic can just turn their attention to the top lane now.
Fun fact, yet to see Rekkles use his ultimate in a team fight. To be fair, Fnatic haven't had that many team fights, but Rekkles, they're punishing the fact that he is so low in mobility on this AD carry. And while we have an opportunity, this is one of the question marks as to why or whether or not misfortune would become prevalent, because she is fairly low in mobility, she is easy to shut down, and you're seeing the potential strengths that Vitality did have. Because if they weren't at this such a deficit, an engagement like this could have very easily gone in their favor. Djoko diving on in, Rekkles getting locked up, insta-taunted and dead. GBN coming in from the flank, dealing an immense amount of damage, while you have Steelback dealing damage on the backline. All of this just falls apart because of how strong Fnatic is right now, and it enables them to get that inhibitor.
Yeah, just fighting the trade, and of course Vitality had to throw a lot of ultimates into that. So we're going to 30 minutes now. Infernal Drake in a minute and a half. Fnatic don't even need it, with supers in 2 lanes. A couple of control wards in that right-hand quadrant. As I say that, one of them gets placed in the tri-bush behind Fnatic, so extending the vision behind Baron. And sOAZ, with teleport available right now, he's going to just usher the supers into the base, and he can teleport and he can ultimate if and when something happens.
If he wants to, he could also go solo the dragon to give them a bit of additional damage. They might not need it, as right now Fnatic looking to put some pressure onto the top lane tower. Notice that Djoko's sitting on the flank, maybe going for an engage.
And it's just so tough. Like those Edge of Night shields, you see them coming up for both Caps and Rekkles. They just step forward so aggressively. 10 seconds of we dare you, GBM. Like, pop this first, then get... Wow! Look at that damage onto Nukeduck. Bullet time. Hurts, Vedius.
Indeed.
Just as you were saying, we hadn't seen it. Oh, well, there we go. Nexus is now being sieged. Flash forward for Caps. Lands the piercing arrow. Stern, serious faces on the side of Fnatic. Nukeduck's trying to pull the minions as best as he can. There's nothing left standing for Vitality as the Nexus tower falls. Rekkles gets one back for the kill in the top lane. Djoko leaps in with the stand united, and GBM, his petrifying gaze felt a little short. Didn't really do a whole lot. sOAZ is killed though, as Caps picks up a double kill. Broxah hammering away on the Nexus. Cabochard is the target, and Rekkles and Caps finally turn their attention. Fnatic 1-0 Vitality.
Clean game from Fnatic. From start to finish, throughout the draft, they had a very understandable team composition that they executed on perfectly. They punished the right lanes, they made the right map movements, and the only criticism is perhaps a bit of overextension, perhaps a few misplays in team fights, but other than that, you really can't fault this game for Fnatic.
No, it was just very clean, very coordinated, and it's a tough loss for Vitality because, you know, watching it from our perspective with full vision and everything, you can really see where Fnatic had Vitality's number. But how on earth do you change that, you know, performance from game 1 to game 2? Like, as Vitality, what do you do?
Well, that's something that we have to ask the AD for, because we don't have time to think about it.
That's a good point, Vedius. That's what we'll do. So let's take a close look at Fnatic's win and figure out what Vitality have to do in game 2. Analyst S, take it away.
Shut down Broxah, because broom, broom, here comes Broxah. What a start. We were wondering how he would do. Would he be affected by nerves, yes or no? Well, the biggest goal differences at 20 minutes that we've seen all split came from Fnatic. 10K. Absolutely dominating.
Are we putting it on the new jungler or the team?
Well, I'm asking you guys that. Thanks for the inspiration.
No, obviously it was Broxah 1v9. Like, he just got the whole goal, like, lead on.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about placebo and this and that, so...
I mean, yes. So I think when they had the, like, 7-8K goal lead, Broxah was 0-0-1. So, like, he didn't make a mistake, you know, but he wasn't obviously the reason they snowballed so hard. I think the pick and ban phase definitely surprised Vitality. Not that it requires too much to surprise Vitality in the pick and ban phase, but I really think the MF AD carry and Varus mid lane kind of came out of nowhere, because we were watching it being like, okay, Varus first pick, normal, not a problem. And then MF came in the last part of the first pick phase, which was super weird because they hadn't shown a support yet, and then typically it means there's some fishy stuff going on.
Yeah, but on the Broxah pick, on Broxah, honestly, he didn't really get that pressured in game. The only time he got pressured was when Djoko walked into the jungle in give a free kill.
And he got his
so
Lee
there
Sin
was
as
not
well.
really, yeah, there was not really much pressure. But I'm looking forward to see Broxa versus another jungler who can actually pressure him.
That's early.
Well, first they have to win another game.
They have another game.
Yeah.
Is there a jungler in mind who might play for Giants or something?
I mean, there might be for the academy team.
Oh, no, that's yeah, it's another guy.
It's
some other guy.
All right, well, turning it back to the attention of this game, we do have to keep in mind, yes, there was this trump card in the fact that Broxa had their first game, but on the other side, Vitality is dealing with a lot of changes as well. And how much can you expect from a mid laner who has played support in the past, but all of a sudden gets swapped in, and we saw a huge CS differential early, so how much blame can we put there? At least they're also trying something?
Yeah, I mean, for Vitality, it's like the whole team is just a bit of a mess. Like, you make changes because you feel like you have to make changes here. Hachani obviously didn't work at all. So they probably felt like Nukeduck was better than whatever other support options they had. Like, there are still people like Kissing and Hybrid out there who are free agents, so it is a little bit surprising in that sense. But there might be some team chemistry we're not looking at.
But maybe Hachani was the one who was like doing the macro for them and like giving the rotation.
Possibly.
Maybe he died a lot, but he actually might have made a lot of good map plays. Because this game they just straight up got out macroed and like they couldn't really do anything and they just choked out and got.
And we have one of the replays. There wasn't a whole lot of replays to pick here because it was so one-sided, but we do actually have like one of those rotations they do make with MF. I think we might have it. I'm just kind of.
I think it might have gotten cut.
Okay, so basically what happened, it was very simple. MF and Zyra destroyed the bottom lane. They took the turret. They were up like 30 CS. Recalls, they go top lane because you have GP. And what happens when you have GP ulti is you always want to swap and you want to then push in their turret. They try and push in your tower on the other side, and GP ultis and kills the wave. And that gave 2 extra towers to Fnatic and like a 4K goal lead at 10 minutes?
Yeah, basically.
Now that you mention MF, we talked about the lethality, of course, now 2 weeks running, but going back, getting that serrated Dirk, and then just, well, Zyra plus MF absolutely crushing it, pretty strong.
Yeah, mind games and pretty dirty 2v2 lane as well.
Yeah, painful, I would say.
But I'm really glad
Not dirty.
that I'm really glad that Fnatic actually utilized on their bot lane winning, and they actually like got the turret, and then they rotated the bot lane to actually use that. So, really good point from Fnatic.
We see the notebook there, always a good sign. You got a plan written down going into game 2.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be your player. He's probably just reading the notes here, obviously. But I think, oh man, if you have Vitality, I feel like you guys on Giants are a little bit in the same situation where, like, I'm sure you come into every week kind of like confident, and maybe you had some good success in scrims and you have a plan in a pick and ban phase, but then you lose the first game. Like, how do you adapt when you already are down in the bottom of the standings?
I mean, most of the times when you lose the first game is like for one reason, at least for us. So, like, in the first game against UL, we just got caught, and then we were like, okay, we just gotta focus next game. But for Vitality's like plays, I don't actually know what they can do, because this game they just straight up got out macroed and like out-rotated all over the map.
Got out macroed and got out Broxa. Of course, we said already it wasn't all in the early game because of him, but he did have a particularly flashy move where he sidestepped the Cassio ult, which is where we were very excited, because if you can do that in your first game on stage, then that spells some good things.
Well, this one was funny, first of all.
Yeah, that's true.
Not sure what Djoko was trying to do here, but...
Recall really, really fast.
Yeah, I don't know why he invaded him, but this one,
here we go.
look at the mechanics.
Oh my god, this is beautiful.
Bam.
Jesus, Broxa.
Good start. I mean, come on, the guy did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he got his like Lee Sin, one of the comfort picks for him. So I think overall, very good first game. And what a great first game to have as a player as well, when your team is doing so well and you're just like out macroing this other team and have this huge advantage. You just feel like you can do everything.
Yeah.
Are we done
Broxa
here
played
in
well.
40 minutes? Is Fnatic gonna clean this up, Memento?
I think we're gonna I expect Vitality to fight back this game, actually, the next one.
Why?
And I don't, because I think they're actually gonna be a lot more proactive than the last game. But who knows, maybe Fnatic are just on another level than Vitality.
This
We'll
is
see.
their true form.
They made the change. I think if Fnatic has a pick and ban phase like this one, where I felt like they got some good counter picks and they kind of surprised Vitality, I think they're going to clean it out pretty easily. They won't get as big of a goal lead, obviously. Like, that was a composition and really well played, the GP ulti on the lane swaps. But I don't believe in Vitality at all. I think this team has too many issues they need to fix, and like changing players is just going to give you more problems you got to fix now. And you don't have time between the game. Like, they've been standing there for 10 minutes. That's not enough to make you a good team.
Not enough notebooks to fix this for now. Fnatic has come out on top in game 1, and after the break, we'll see if Vitality can redeem themselves. The Fisher doesn't think so. See you then.